Alright guys, thank you for tuning in to our first Weekly Grind podcast, a podcast dedicated to Hearthstone, the online card game by Blizzard. We will be talking about updates, we'll be talking about news, anything that's Hearthstone related. We will be talking about, to give you a little background on where we're all from, we've all been playing Magic the Gathering for about 10 years competitively now, and we all enjoy playing some competitive card games, and we've moved on to Hearthstone. We all still play Magic pretty casually now though, but Hearthstone is where it's at for the three of us right now. So thank you for checking us out. If you'd like to contact us, give us a review, send a deck list, anything you want to do, you can contact us three ways right now. We are on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/theweeklygrind podcast. We are also on Facebook. If you just type in The Weekly Grind, we should pop up right there for you. And you can also email us at theweeklygrindpodcast@gmail.com. Alright, thank you very much for tuning into our first podcast, and enjoy. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of The Weekly Grind. I am Joshua, and my Hearthstone name is Spirit Bomb. My current rank is rank 5, and I am here with two of my co-hosts, Dave, which is my brother, and Paul, my best friend. And
how's it going? My name's Dave. My Battle.net tag is Wings of Wax. I am currently Legend 450 right now. And here is Paul.
My Battle.net name is Rice Cakes, and I'm ranked 6 at 1 star. I haven't been playing a lot, so I'm bad.
And we are also accompanied by my lovely girlfriend Alex, but she will unfortunately not be talking very much on this podcast. Say hi, Alex.
Hi.
Alright, and let's get this started. So, guys, we're going to start off with our favorite classes. My favorite class recently has been Warrior. I've been enjoying the Warrior control lists. How about you, Dave?
I've been enjoying a lot of Hunter lately, just because things are about to happen to Hunter that will make it unplayable.
And Paul?
It's so hard to say. All the classes are so viable, but I really like Priest, as much as I hate to say that. But Priest is actually pretty dominant right now.
It's been a good deck lately, so.
Priest has looked like a lot of fun. I'm not personally very good with it, but Priest is definitely, I think, a fun deck, something I'll probably be plugging a lot more time into and effort. So our next topic is going to be Blizzard updates and news. So the first Blizzard news I want to talk about is BlizzCon, which is happening November 7th through November 8th. And unfortunately, we will not be attending BlizzCon this year.
It's a little too out of range.
But for people like us that want to see all the Blizzard info, anything that's going on at BlizzCon, there is a BlizzCon virtual ticket that is $39.99. Now, what's included in the BlizzCon ticket is you get to see all the exclusive panels, interviews, and you get all of the exclusive content. There will be contests for cosplay, hosted by comedian Chris Hardwick, and you'll be able to tune into all the closing ceremonies going on at BlizzCon after the 2 full days of BlizzCon goes on. And a really cool thing is all the BlizzCon in-game goodies you will be able to receive if you sign up for this virtual ticket. So maybe they'll give a card back for Hearthstone or something, but not only Hearthstone. If you play World of Warcraft, StarCraft 2, Diablo 3, or Heroes of the Storm on top of Hearthstone, they do have cool goodies that you get just from purchasing this virtual ticket. Another cool feature they have is on-demand replays, which you get 2 weeks after BlizzCon, that you can reflect on anything that's happened during BlizzCon or watch back on it.
So you probably get to watch any of the tournament coverage?
Yeah, any of the tournament coverage, anything that comes up. It'll be a lot of cool stuff. And finally, the BlizzCon Shop from Home will be available. which you can purchase anything that Blizzard was selling at BlizzCon through the Blizzard website. But yeah, the next in Blizzard news, we'll be talking about the nerfs that are happening. The first nerf that we'll go over is the Leroy Jenkins nerf.
And these nerfs are happening in about
Tomorrow.
8 to 10 hours from now.
Yes, very, very shortly. They still haven't taken effect. We thought they would be by today, but sometimes it's usually a day late. But the Leroy Jenkins nerf will it's originally a 4-mana 6/2 with charge, and it creates 2/1/1 whelps for your opponent. So you get to deal 6 burst damage to anything that you need to, and it's a good card for what it is. But what is going to be happening to Leroy Jenkins is he's going to be going from 4 mana to 5 mana. So that is the big change for Leroy Jenkins. Anything you guys want to say about that?
You can't combo him anymore, and that's really upsetting.
In Rogue, you can't combo him.
No, you can combo in Rogue. You can't combo in Warlock anymore.
Oh, that's true. You
It's
can't
very
combo it in
You can't
the
faceless
handlock lists.
You can't faceless deal 20 damage really brokenly, which I think is fine because 20
Yeah.
damage is a little absurd.
Yeah, what Paul's basically talking about is that Leroy Jenkins, when he comes out into play, there is a card
Called Power Overwhelming.
called Power Overwhelming. It gives a creature +4/+4 and kills it at the end of turn. So Leroy would become a 10/6 with charge, and then you would be able to use a Faceless Manipulator, which is a 5 mana to make a copy of a creature in play. So you would get 2 10/6s with charge and deal 20 damage to your opponent that turn, which you cannot do anymore. But I don't think that's the deck that's most affected by it. I think that the Rogue deck's most affected by it.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because, Shadow Step, which is a 0 mana card that returns a creature to your hand, it makes them cost 2 less to play. You can't do that with Leroy Jenkins anymore twice and deal 18 damage in a turn. Now he's 5 mana, so he's then going to cost 3 mana, and then another 3, and nobody has 11 mana in the game. It's impossible unless you have the coin. That's
Right?
Yeah, Innervate in a Rogue deck, I don't
Yeah,
see
yeah,
that being
do
viable. But it just doesn't seem possible. I think this changes the game for aggro players. Some combo, there's a lot of different things that it affects in the game. But moving on to the next nerf. The next nerf is for Starving Buzzard, which Starving Buzzard is a 2 mana 2/1 that is a Hunter class card. And it is a beast. And what happens is that whenever you play a beast, when Starving Buzzard is in play, you would draw a card. Now what's going to happen now, instead of being a 2 mana 2/1, it is going to be a 5 mana 3/2 with the same ability, still a beast, all of that, but it's just going to be 5 mana now, which I think makes it pretty impossible to count on for as far as, getting that 5 mana playing your Starving Buzzard. Yeah, just drawing cards. It just seems
Starving Buzzard into Unleash the Hounds combo.
Yeah, it makes it really hard to do now in competitive.
It now costs 8 mana to do that, which is not what you want to be doing against the aggro decks.
Right. So for all you Hunter lovers, it's definitely gonna make the game a lot harder to come back from and to develop a deck that isn't gonna revolve around that card. I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
It's still fun in Arena.
It's still fine. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's Hunters are they're not going to be great anymore.
It's difficult to build the beast strategy in Arena as it is, and with Starving Buzzard costing 5 mana now, it's just going to be more difficult to be able to draw the cards that you need on the same turn that you play the Starving Buzzard, which you could have before.
Very true.
I think it does make Scavenging Hyena a little better, though, because it makes it a little more playable now that that's still 2 mana. Scavenging Hyena is a 2 mana 2/2 that is a beast, and whenever a friendly beast you control dies, it gets +2/+1 permanently. So it still does combo with your Unleash the Hounds, which is a 3 mana for a spell. You create a 1/1 beast with charge for each creature your opponent controls.
My question to you guys: do you think that Cult Master is going to see play? No?
I've been seeing it lately, actually, with
Yeah.
Cult Master being a 4-mana 4/2, that whenever one of your friendly minions dies, you draw a card. I've actually been seeing it in some hunter lists just to play with like Snake Trap, a 2-mana trap that whenever one of your friendly minions is attacked by your opponent, you create 3 1/1 beasts.
Yeah, it's definitely a good card. It's interesting to see how the game's going to change because of it. And so the next segment that we're going to move on to is going to be tournament coverage. Have you guys been keeping up with any tournaments over this past week? Paul, no.
Nope.
I've been watching Deck Wars and a little bit of Hearthstats lately, but that's
Actually, I was
those are the two.
watching the BlizzCon qualifiers, but then I fell asleep.
That's been like story of my life recently too. Trying to watch tournament and having to get up in the morning. But yeah, there's definitely been a lot going on. Paul, what were the top 4 players in the Deck Wars Season 2 finals?
Top 4 players:
Top 4 players.
RDU,
Kayuki,
Kayuki,
Sho,
Sho, and Trump.
and Trump. So, I mean, all very good players. I've definitely tuned into Trump's stream before. Sho, I think I've seen his stream before, unless I'm confusing him with another player.
He's a really good warrior player.
Yeah.
That's what he's mostly known for
I
nowadays.
definitely have, yeah. I haven't ever watched RDU or Kayuki before.
RDU?
I've
He
Yes.
won the first big tournament.
Yeah, I mean, tuning into their streams or
I've seen him stream a lot of Mage, which I thought was kind of cool.
yeah,
Well, that's what he won his first big tournament with.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is
Against,
probably why he built
what's
that.
What's that guy's name? I can't remember his name.
Oh, Amaz.
Yeah, the priest player.
Yeah, that was a good game to watch. That was definitely a good one.
RDU stomped him. It was like 3-0.
Yeah,
And it was over.
yeah, that was a good tournament to
RDU
watch.
didn't even change decks.
Yeah,
That's basically what happened with the Deck Wars. RDU played against Kayuki in the finals, and he played Paladin 3 times in a row and beat Kayuki 3 times in a row, and then it wasn't until Kayuki played his 4th deck that he actually scored, I think, 2 wins, and then RDU won the 4th game, or the 4th game that he needed in order to win the series.
I actually really like this deck. I haven't
Which list is that, Paul?
Paladin.
Tauntawin.
Yeah, it's actually really cool because Paladin is not known for being that competitive.
Yeah,
When I was watching his
They're
matchup,
actually the lowest on the metagame chart.
yeah, very true. Or
Oh
second,
no, second.
Mage is being the lowest.
Yeah, I think Mage is not that great right now.
When
I think it gets better.
Yeah, it's gonna. I agree. I think it'll get better. It's not affected by these nerfs at all.
If people play Scavenging Hyena, Blizzard becomes real good.
Yeah,
And Fireball is just amazing.
yeah. I mean, Mage has a lot of good cards to offer. It's kind of
Frostbolt, yeah.
yeah. It's. I think it'll definitely see a little bit of a resurgence after this nerf.
when I was watching RDU play his Paladin lists, he got like extreme amounts of value out of his Kel'Thuzad. Kel'Thuzad being one of the new cards from Naxxramas, an 8 mana 6/8 that whenever one of your minions dies, it will come back to life at the end of that turn. And that works for both sides, both turns. So if a creature dies on your opponent's turn, then it'll still come back to life before it becomes your turn.
Yeah, I definitely have a fun story that I'll talk about at the end of the
Silence,
podcast.
kill it, or bust.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yep.
Find a spot removal for it, please.
Alright, so we're going to move on to our next segment, which is the weekly grind. And we are going to talk about the top decks of the week / meta breakdown. So, Paul, do you want to just go down the list? This is also brought to us by HearthstoneTopDeck.com. If you're ever looking for a good website to find great lists for competitive or even just budget lists, HearthstoneTopDeck.com
It's
is
definitely,
definitely the place to be. So, Paul, if you just want to go down the list, what's the metagame breakdown looking like?
Hunter is obviously on top. It won't be for long, but it's at 19%. Rogue will probably dip a little bit, maybe. I don't really know. But it's at 18%. Warlock is probably going to go up, and it will probably stay there.
Whether it's Zoo or Handlock.
It will probably stay there till the next nerf, which, I don't know, I think Undertaker is a little too good at a 1-2. It doesn't die very easily, and you can coin to make it a 2-3 on turn 1. That's really broken.
I was surprised it was a common.
It is,
I figured
upping the rarity doesn't matter in this game.
And what percentage of the meta is Warlock?
16.
Okay.
And then Druid, which used to be my favorite class. I mean, I still love Druid.
It just hasn't been performing very well lately.
Yeah,
there are just much more broken decks, I feel like, in the format.
Yeah, Force plus Savage Roar it's still good, but it's not. I mean, we'll get into it later, but Sludge Belcher is really good at stopping that card.
What percentage is Druid?
15. And then Shaman or Shaman is
as my beautiful girlfriend likes to call it, Shaman.
Yeah.
We're starting a new trend.
It's at 10%, but I think Shaman will go up eventually. I really like Shaman.
I've been seeing Shaman a lot more in the ladder lately, so that doesn't surprise me at all that it's actually like
Shaman has some of the best removal spells, being Hex. Hex is, and I mean, I think Earthshock is the best common removal spell in the game.
1 mana removal spell.
1 mana silence a minion. Twilight Drake, if you hate that card, you play Shaman, and you wreck them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think I love when I draw that, Earthshock, and I'm versing a Twilight Drake. I'm just,
Warrior's at 8%, which I think is going to go up because Warrior is really strong.
Yeah.
And one of the most expensive decks to build. It's easily over 10,000 dust.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
It's like mono legends, and it's just, I mean,
that's all the deck.
The best legends in the game. Plus, they draw a lot of cards. They only have one class spell that draws a card, or Slam, I guess, but
they focus mostly on Acolyte of Pain.
Yeah, Acolyte of Pain is broken in Warrior. And then Priest, which is at 6%, which
I'm surprised it's not bigger, actually.
It should. I feel like it should be up in this area.
In the top 4 area.
Yeah, above this Druid. And Paladin is at 6%, which I think we'll see a lot more Paladins because, I mean, the hero ability is very weak, but it plays around a lot of weird things like Brawl. It plays really well against Brawl. And then Mage is at 3%, which it will probably go up a little bit, but not that much, because the best card in this particular Mage decks, which are the secret Death Rattle decks, is Mad Scientist, and everyone gets to play with that card. So
yeah,
why not play a better class with a? I mean, the hero ability is okay. It does things. It shuts off the Paladin. That's about it. Yeah, that's basically all it does.
So we're also going to break down the types of decks. There's 4 types of decks in the game. There's aggro, mid-range, control, and combo. I mean, aggro is your beat-down deck. It's, you want to get your opponent from 30 to 0 as fast as possible and just slam cards for the most part with most aggro decks. Mid-range is kind of that in-between aggro and control where you just kind of You're trying to stabilize, but you don't want to waste too much time trying to win the game.
Well, you can play the long game.
Yeah, you can play the long game. That's for sure.
It's just hard to play the long game with mid-range against control.
Yeah, aggro you play more of the low drops, and more of the high drops go into the control decks. But mid-range plays both of those styles. Control is more of you're trying to make it to the late game because you have your bombs you want to play that are just going to take over the game and establish presence. And combo is, I mean, it kind of sells itself. Combo Rogue is the big combo. But combo, you're just trying to, in like 1 or 2 turns, kill your opponent. Really. It's just drawing your combo pieces to win the game. So, Paul, can you give us the breakdown on this?
Aggro is at 12%, which it will probably stay there. Aggro is... It's not like Magic. Aggro is not that strong, and plus Hunter is the best aggro class. I feel actually no.
I feel like
Warlock is.
Hunter is actually like a control deck rather.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, scavenging. I mean, no, the Simba, Savannah Highmane. Yeah, there we go. That one.
Simba
He
or
is-
Scar.
Yeah, Scar. Actually, I don't know. It feels more like a mid-range deck. They can play the longer game, but once you deal with the Highmanes, they're out of gas. They
Yeah.
can't win the game anymore.
They start to run out of steam.
And now
at that
you
point.
just play like they don't have great removal. They have no silencers besides the owl, which is a neutral.
which doesn't usually see play in a lot of Hunter decks right now too.
Yeah, usually plays one. I mean,
Maybe.
your best bet is getting it off the web spinner.
Yeah, when the death rattle goes off.
Yeah, but you usually don't want that. But mid range is at 43%, which it will probably stay there. And I think control decks will go. They'll probably go up a little bit. The problem with control decks is if there's a lot of aggro decks, control is not really that great against aggro unless
What percentage is control right now?
29.
That's not too bad.
It's not too bad, but I mean,
I do
I think
think
Josh knows most of all that Handlock hates to be under pressure real early.
Yeah,
They
very
hate
true.
it. Like they don't want to soulfire anything until like turn 4.
Yeah,
Like they don't want to lose cards.
right. You want to slam that Mountain Giant turn 4, Twilight Drake,
and
or
then game's over.
yeah.
I think the percentage of aggro lists are going to go up though as the nerf comes out, because I feel like Zoo is going to be one of the strongest aggro decks out there, and it's also still the cheapest deck out there.
I'd say it's the most consistent deck.
That too.
It is.
So that's why I think aggro is going to go up a little bit more from 12%, probably up to like 25%.
The last one is combo. And what percentage is it at, Paul?
16%. 16. Yeah, 16%.
And
I
do you
think it'll
think?
stay like probably maybe actually dip a little bit because Leroy Jenkins.
Yeah, that's
You know?
true. I feel like Leroy has to deal with a lot of combos.
If you're playing the Miracle Rogue, you like have to change up your entire strategy from going from an all-in on one turn, kill somebody, to like progressively killing somebody over a couple of turns.
I think Druid is gonna go up, like, because they can play. I mean, this isn't. We're not gonna talk about it till later, but Sludge Belcher is a card, like a real card,
Which
and
every
it's
deck,
really good.
almost every
Yeah.
deck is playing
And
Sludge
it's-
Belcher too.
And it's kind of hard not to silence it, but you kind of can't afford it. You don't have that much silence in some classes. I guess what's his face? Shaman is pretty good at dealing with it.
Very true.
But Hex, you don't want to Hex it, because you want to save the Hexes for scarier things like Ysera and Ragnaros.
You usually just want to throw a large body into the Sludge Belcher. That's probably the most effective way to deal with it, and then just kind of figure out another game plan for the 1/2 that pops out.
Yeah.
Also in the Druid Mirror, Savage Roaring and Force of Naturing through Sludge Belcher has to be the worst feeling in the world. It just kills. It kills a whole Sludge Belcher, and you wasted 2 cards and 9 mana, and now you're losing.
Well, you get 4 points of damage in.
No, you don't.
You have to deal.
No, you
Actually,
deal.
yeah, you do, because the hero gets. I
Oh,
always
yeah,
forget
hero
that.
ability.
Hero. No, the hero gets +2 attack,
Yeah.
so you
So-
can deal with the 1/2. So you get 4 points of damage. In.
Which
You
is
do.
still not good enough, but
Yeah, Swipe is a good card, but it's not that good.
Very true. Very true. So, guys, how's your rank right now, and what decks have you been grinding?
Me? Oh,
Start with Paul.
Sure, why not? I'm currently ranked 6. I haven't played that much in the last couple of days, but I've been playing a lot of Warrior. I've been to like rank 5, 4. Like I've been all over the place this season. But I like Warrior. I played a lot of Zoo last season, which got me to the Legend rank. Which, I mean, it was pretty awesome. If we videotaped it, it would be awesome. Because it was like
yeah, I regret
from
not videotaping
from
that.
rank 2, like 8 straight games, not even dropping a game. It was pretty remarkable. But I've been grinding a lot of Priest, because if you can stabilize against a Zoo deck, they lose.
Or against a Hunter deck. For
Or
that
against a
matter,
Hunter. Hunter is actually a real easy matchup, and don't let anyone tell you different.
It's not that easy.
It's pretty easy.
If they have an eagle horn bow for your 1/3 or your 2/3s that you play in the beginning of the game becomes a lot harder for you.
But not everyone plays Eagle Hornbow and the trap version, which I think is the best version.
You don't even have to play the traps though, as long as you have a bow to take out 2 bodies in the beginning of the game. That's really all the tempo you need in order to get back the game with the hunter deck.
That's fair, but it'll be very rare if they're not playing any secrets with the Eagle Hornbow and Mad Scientist.
I'm doing it right now in my hunter list, and that's the only reason why it's in there is for the warrior matchup and the priest matchup, because you need something to just take out the
Why
early
is Eagle
bodies.
Hornbow good against warrior?
It takes out Acolyte of Pain, and it helps you deal with an armor smith early on if you need it. It also takes out an unstable ghoul in the beginning of the game. It just helps with the early pressure or early bodies that they just kind of throw down there to get in your way.
For hunter players, I think it's really bad when the hunters mark a armor smith to kill it.
It's not incorrect though. Like a lot of the times, it just generates too much armor.
Yeah.
For your opponent so that you really do just need to just get rid of that armor smith, and even just throwing like a web spinner at it after you hunters marked armor smith. Like, you just need to get that armor smith off the table.
Yeah, because when you're a hunter, you just don't want to see your opponent gain life, and that's what you're doing
so
when you're
risky.
watching. Yeah, like when they start to gain armor.
It's like a 1.5 for 1.
Yeah.
Which is not in their favor, and if they get something like garbage off that web spinner, it could be a 2 for 1. If you get like some bad cards you can get off a web spinner. you could get the owl that you could have used,
or a hungry crab.
You could have used hungry crab. You know how many times you get a hungry crab?
Hey, Iron Beagle can do his job, okay?
What about Captain's Parrot?
Oh, Captain's Parrot.
Yeah, Captain's Parrot is pretty not
how many
good.
pirates do you play? Not many.
Yeah.
But usually you get a decent body off of the web spinner. Like, I have gotten those games where all of a sudden you just have 4 Savannah High mains, and it's like, oh, what is this warrior gonna do?
Yeah, definitely. Right, Dave, what deck have you been grinding?
I've been doing a lot of Zoo, Priest, and Hunter.
And what's your rank?
My rank is at Legendary 450 right now. I got to 113 last night, and then I disconnected a bunch of times, and I went back up to 450, and basically went on tilt, so I just shut off the game for the night and decided to take a break.
Yeah, that's usually best. When you feel like you're just on tilt or you're just not in a good mood, you're really tired, just shut off the game. Don't play.
Go watch a stream.
What I do, if I really want to play and I'm just in a bad mood, I'll play an arena. You know, if you got the goal, just go on an arena.
Yeah, that too. I haven't been doing a lot of arena lately just because I do really, really like playing ranked, because I like how consistent playing against certain decks are.
Yeah.
And you can just get garbage in arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Well, the rank I have been at, I'm at rank 5 right now currently. And the deck I've been playing, I haven't really played too much over the past couple of days, but I've been playing Warrior Control a lot. I mean, I love the deck, love the feel.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
I
You
love the
like all the
power.
legends.
Yeah, I mean, like my top 2 decks in this game have been Handlock and Warrior Control, I'd say, because that's just like that's the play style I like. I like those big
Very
fatties,
strong control decks, basically.
Yeah,
which is very weird because it's like the opposite in Magic.
Yeah, in Magic I was the
decks.
aggro deck player, and now in Hearthstone I'm like, I want control decks.
I want to play 8/8s.
Yeah, I want to play 8/8s, turn 4 if possible. Yeah, on to our next segment, which is Cards of the Week. This is going to be another segment that is actually put together for us by Hearthstone Top Deck. So we're just going to kind of break down the most played legendaries, most played epics, and most played rares. So let's start with legendaries. Paul, you want to take it from here?
So Lothab is number 1, and
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Lothab can really be played.
Leroy Jenkins, who's gonna probably be at number 3 by next week, and Bloodmage Shanos, which is probably not going to be there at all next week. I don't think it's going to be there.
I think Blood Mage is being on the most played legendary list is kind of weird in general, but I do understand that Miracle is still a list, and that's why it's still there with the Leroy Jenkins being at number 2.
He used to be at number 2.
I don't think
He used to
Leroy.
be at number 1.
I don't believe Leroy Jenkins is going to be the second most played. I actually don't think it's going to be on the top 3 at all. I think we're going to find something else being in there. I'm not sure yet, but
I think Sylvanas Windrunner will be up there.
that is definitely
That card is like making a breakout, and if you don't have it, I'm sorry.
Craft
Save
it.
up dust.
Hey, I'll still stick by Karen Bloodhoof. That
Karen
card's
Bloodhoof might be up there too because
that card's real
you know,
good.
Priest might be at the top of this metagame chart by the end of the month, maybe.
Just because those are the two highly played legends in that deck, and that's
Yeah, but
that's
it's
like
like-
your end game.
Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of people play Ragnaros, which is
It's been seeing
okay,
less
but
popularity
Ysera
lately.
is a lot scarier
Hmm.
and a lot harder to deal with.
Very true.
You have to silence it or you lose, and other priest decks don't silence things very often.
Yeah, they Shadow Word Death it, and you're like, oh, I still get a card.
You can't Shadow Word Death a
Oh,
Ysera.
oh, Ysera, you're right.
Yeah, 4 power. It's like
Yeah, you just-
it's impossible
In the
to deal
priest,
with.
in the priest mirror, Ysera is ridiculous.
Yeah, like, but I don't know. Blood Mage actually used to be at the top of this list.
Yeah, I think Blood Mage is a good card. I think it can still see a lot of play in certain decks. I mean,
A lot of druids don't even play it anymore. They used to play it a lot.
yeah. I mean, let's say resurgence of Mage. Like, yeah, it can be buffed more. Priest, it can be used well in.
No,
I mean,
very well in
No,
priests.
There's
You
no
know,
holy smites. You can't. There's no spell damage. They don't play holy fire.
I
That's
feel
fair.
like it'll see more play in mage, shaman, or
Druid.
Probably
I mean, it makes that
It's-
swipe pretty good.
it's okay in druid. I think it does a little more work.
Warlock.
No, probably just in the rogue lists most likely because you just get all those eviscerates and those backstabs and
That's fair.
just a lot of like shiv damage and blade flurry and
Well, that-
fan of knives.
Like its popularity is literally on here because Rogue is a deck.
Yeah, exactly.
True. Very true.
Because Warrior doesn't spell damage anything.
Yeah.
it does.
There's a lot of
It shield
classes that-
slams,
I mean, usually you're shield slamming for overkill.
or you can slam something, or you can.
I mean, there is a billion situations where spell damage could be good, but it doesn't justify it.
I forget what the card that deals 2 damage to 2 creatures. Cleave. Yes,
Cleave, yes.
that is also a spell damage card.
That
But-
actually might see play if Zoo is on a. I mean, it stinks because if it hits a egg.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh.
Oh,
Yeah.
you get a free 4/4.
Yeah,
Oh, this
that's
blows.
not good. That's how you lose. I think egg could get the nerf to like 3 mana 0/2.
Yeah.
I think he is actually reasonably costed, so
I don't know. I think he's a little undercosted for how good it is.
he takes
Because-
work to actually get like going though. That's the thing.
I mean, the thing about it is you can enable it so easily. Abusive Sergeant.
In Zoo List, yes, I agree.
Oh yeah. Well, I think that's where you're gonna see it the most because actually Shaman can enable it pretty easily with Rockbiter Weapon.
But it's just not as consistent as the Zoo
Oh
List.
yeah, it's not consistent at all. When I play Shaman, it doesn't work.
I feel like Egg is only really good in the Zoo List right now, and
Yeah.
that's a sad part because
With Dwarf.
I wanted to see Egg in a lot more decks, but I think it's only viable right now in just the Zoo List.
Well,
Very
that's why
true.
I think it's undercosted because Haunter Creeper would probably be undercosted if a lot you'll see a lot of decks with it. Like even I think the Mage deck plays it. Maybe I don't know.
Plays what, Haunter Creeper?
Yeah,
I don't think they play it right now.
but Warrior plays it. I mean Hunter plays it. Not Warrior.
I mean, it is a beast too.
It is a beast too.
For all those that aren't familiar with Haunted Creeper, it's a 2 mana 1/2 that was released in the Noxrama set, and like I said, it was a beast. But that its death rattle is it spawns 2 1/1s that aren't beasts, spiders. So it's pretty good. When it dies, it makes 2 1/1s for you. So you pretty much get good value for your 2 mana.
You get Spirit Spiders.
Yeah, you get little spirit spiders that are just they can really change the game around for you.
It helps out a lot in the Hunter matchup because having those 1/1s for your Hunter's marks is like really important.
Yeah. So, Paul, what's the breakdown on the most played epics?
Preparation, not really surprised.
Number
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, number one. And then Ancient of Lore is just the best Druid card, and you can't even say anything about it. It's just the best. And Force of Nature, kind of surprised, but not really, because a lot of Druid decks, unless they're tokens, play only one.
Are the Giants epics?
Giants are epics.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am a little surprised that
Hemlock is falling off.
that Molten Giant is not number 3 actually.
Why? Because of Mage?
because of Mage and because of Handlock.
Well, don't forget, Mage is only at 3%.
That's true. It's at a
And
very
there's not a
low.
lot of giant, and a lot of them don't even play the giant because they're playing secrets.
Yeah, that's true. I guess not everybody's playing the duplicate or freeze mage.
And about 15% of this warlock is zoo decks.
Very true.
But that'll change. I think Handlock gets a lot better actually as this nerf comes out.
Yeah, very true. All right, moving on. What do you think is what is the most played epic, played rares?
I'm kind of surprised, but Defender of Argus is number 1.
That's because of Zoo.
I guess, yeah, that makes sense.
It's
There's
also
a good amount of decks that play
But-
Defender of Argus.
yeah.
Sludge Belcher is played in every single deck, and if you don't play it, you should add it because it's the best card right now.
Yeah, Sludge Belcher is really good.
Card is.
He is played in every deck. I even tried to slide him into my Zoo list recently,
He
but
is
I
my-
did take him out because
He is my
it's a little too
favorite alcoholic.
slow. Burp.
So good.
Yeah, I just remember the first week of Noxramas, and well, not first week of Noxramas, but first week Sludge Belcher was released. Within the first week, Paul had 2 golden Sludge Belchers ready to play. He's just like, this card's really good. I've
Yeah.
be jealous of my golden Sludge
Yeah.
Belchers.
Not a lot of people have golden ones unless their whole deck's golden.
Yeah, very
So,
true.
I mean, it's 1600 dust. If you have it, do it.
I mean, that's a
Unless
legend.
you need a legend. I mean, I have it. I have all the playable legends, so it doesn't matter.
I do not.
Yeah, Dave
I do.
does not. He's very unlucky.
I have to play with budget decks sometimes.
Yeah,
And
the
somehow I got legend with them. So.
The funnier part is by the end of the rank season, Dave's usually the highest rank out of all of us. But me and Paul both have most, if not all, the playable legendaries, and Dave's usually at the highest part of the rank ladder.
But I do really like Hunter, and that just happens to be the most broken deck right now, other than Miracle Raid. But those decks are getting nerfed, so now I have to switch over to Zoo or Priest, which is fine, because I did get a lot of my ranks from Zoo this past season.
Maybe you can make Druid really, really good.
Druid is just too iffy on the matchups, I feel like. I've been playing a lot of Taunt Druid whenever I do, because I'm not a big fan of the Token Druid, because the Taunt Druid actually steamrolls the Token Druid,
Oh.
because they just need to get through your taunts, and they don't have easy ways of doing that, and they just have all these fragile bodies that,
Die.
yeah, will basically not be able to get through any of your taunts. And
So, Paul, what's number 3 on the most played rares list?
Azure Drake, and that's not really surprising. Well, I mean, it
It's
used
a
to
bit
be number
surprising.
1. It used to be number 1. Wipe that out. And then you have SI Agent, which is SI7 Agent, which is not surprising.
from the
and
Miracle popularity.
Auctioneer, another miracle card.
Yeah, very good card, I'd say.
Card is
Part of your
absurd.
combo when you're playing Miracle.
And it's really fair. 5 mana for a 4/4. It dies very easily, but usually you can protect it because you draw your deck. If you
Yeah.
if you play it well.
It
you
goes
play
back
well.
to the most played epics as well, which is number 1, Preparation. Galaxy Auctioneer Preparation is like the most ridiculous thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
Rogue class card.
For all those who don't know, Kazakhstan Auctioneer is a 5-mana 4/4, and whenever you cast a spell, you draw a card. So, I mean, Preparation is a 0-mana spell that makes your next spell cost 0 to play.
No, 3 less. Because Sprint, it actually matters for Sprint because if you cast Preparation, Sprint will cost 4, not 0.
And you can also
Really?
cast a Fan of Knives for free.
Yeah, it makes it cost 3 less, not 0. If it made it cost 0, would be broken. Right.
So the next segment we have are just the top 2 decks that we're featuring this week that we're going to talk about. The first one is called Circle of Rattles, which is a priest deck. And Paul, do you just want to talk about this deck?
Go off the numbers at least.
Well, there's 2 Circle of Healings, 2 Power Word Shields because this card's like,
Busted.
Yeah, it's like insane because it draws a card. And Northshire Cleric is
Which is-
really busted also.
Yeah. It's basically like a Starving Buzzard for the priest deck.
Yeah. Undertaker because that card is absurd. Zombie Chow, which feeds the Undertaker, and you don't care if your opponent draws gains 5 life. And Loot Hoarder supports the Undertaker and draws a card when it dies, so that's pretty good.
How many?
Oh, there's 2. 2 of all those cards. Now we're gonna go to the one of in the deck, Shadow Word Death, and it's I mean, it deals with huge monsters like Ragnaros. I mean,
Alexstrasza.
It deals with Sylvanas Windrunner, but not well.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. Thoughtsteal is just pretty awesome. I mean, it's really bad against Warrior. Really bad against Warrior. If they get Shield Slam, they're never gonna use it or cast it for funsies for 0.
But you like fist pump whenever you see a Thoughtsteal in your opening hand against like the Priest mirrors, or fist pump whenever you see it against like Druid matchups.
Oh yeah, it's really bad against
even like handlock.
Hunter is it's garbage.
Hunter, it's okay. It's not what you want to be doing.
If you get High Main, it's insane.
Sure.
But if you don't get High Main, you probably lose. And Dark Cultist is just amazing. I mean, look at his stats: 3-4, and when he dies, he gives +3 health. And there's 2 of those. There's 2 of that and 2 of Thoughtsteal. Also, Injured Blade Master, just because it combos with Circle of Healing, and it might even draw you a card if you have Cleric out. And there's 2 of those. It's a 4/3. It's pretty good. And Soul Priest also combos really nicely.
Aconite Soul Priest is definitely one of like the haymakers in this deck.
Yeah, because I mean you can play an Aconite Soul Priest, and then for 0 mana you deal 4 damage to each creature
with
in
a
play.
Circle of Healing, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, and there's one Defender of Argus, just because, I mean, it's just a top played rare for a reason.
It's a solid card.
Yeah, the card is just really good. You don't play a lot of Taunters in this deck, but if you need to, you can taunt up a really big Undertaker, and your opponent can cry a little bit. And you don't really care. And so we got one Holy Nova. This card is amazing against Hunters.
It's amazing mostly against Zoo.
If you can Shadow Word Death a High Main and then Holy Nova right after on turn like 8, then you are probably in a really good spot.
Holy Nova also sets up really good Northshire Cleric turns, which is a big thing to note. There's only one Holy Nova in the deck, though, because there is the Aconite Soul Priest plus Circle of Healing combo. Because there's 2 of each of those, but there's only one Holy Nova, so you kind of want like a third AoE spell, and that is like your backup plan is the Holy Nova.
Alright, so now we're going to go to one Lothab, because you can't play more than one, and it'd be busted if you could play more than one. But it is the top played legend for a reason. It turns off Miracle for a whole turn. They can't do anything.
I mean, if you're worried about your opponent using any spells to kill you,
yeah,
it's usually pretty good. I mean, there's still certain instances where, like, if they have the Frostbolt and they have 8 mana and they're just going to kill you with 3 damage, whatever. Like, yeah, it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to happen with what's its face. I want to say Primal Command, but that's not right.
No, that's Magic.
that's Magic. Kill Command. That's
Kill
what
Command.
it's called.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah.
It also helps. Lothab also helps shut off the Hunter's combo, which is the Starving Buzzard plus Unleash, which we're going to be seeing that going away pretty soon. But
Yay.
it shuts off that turn. It shuts off their ability to be able to combo for a turn, which is a big deal. And also, Lothab will usually lock up the game if you can build up a board position, because you kind of want to play it so that you have a board position in play. And then you play a Lothab so that they just can't deal with your creatures for another turn, so you get an additional turn with all those creatures that you have in play.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then you have the 2 Sludge Belchers just because it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's no other card that can even...
Paul could just fangirl about this all day.
Yeah. Play it. It's not close how good it is.
It's so good. It's definitely the best Naxxramas card that has come out.
This,
so like...
Oh, yeah.
Other than Undertaker, which is like a close second right now for me, but...
I mean...
Undertaker...
Statistically, it is... I mean, it's the best common that came out.
True. Which is... I'm actually surprised Hearthstats doesn't feature the best common, which is...
Yeah.
Something I wish they
weird.
did, which would be cool.
We can feature it.
After Sludge Belcher, though, there's 2 Sludge Belchers.
There is a 1 of Cabal Shadows Priest,
which is my favorite priest card.
Yeah, it is a really good priest card. I wish it played 2 because it can just steal wins. You can steal your opponent's Taunters. You can steal your opponent's...
In the mirror, you can steal
Harvest
a
Golems.
Northshire Cleric.
Yeah, you can steal a lot of things.
You can steal eggs.
If you play it and they have like a Northshire Cleric out, you just turn around. You just turn the whole game around with a 4/5 and a 1/3, and your opponent is probably crying a little bit because Priest, as most of you probably know, they can't deal with 4-power creatures very well. And that brings me to Karen Bloodhoof, who is just, I mean, he's a Death Rattler, which is really good for Undertaker. But, I mean, if you land both of those cards, you're probably winning. And, yeah, you can't, other Priest decks, they can't silence this. You probably win if you can resolve it first.
I mean, it does set up a really good board position for you because two 4/5s is really difficult for Priests to just deal with in general. So, like the mirrors, you really want a Bloodhoof.
Yeah. And then Sylvanas Windrunner, which I think will be on the top Legend list very soon. Card is just insane. And
I like the fact that you actually have, there's a Shadow Word Death in this deck, so you can just like turn 9, I think it is, turn 9 Sylvanas Windrunner and Shadow Word Death, but like usually clear the board of like small minions, keeping their biggest minion around, and then do that combo.
You can kind of pickpocket what you want.
I've done that to a Ragnaros, I've done that to a Ysera lately, I've done that to a lot of big creatures. I've done it
keep in mind
like
that,
a bunch of stuff.
that you are still 2-for-1ing yourself, but you're stealing your opponent's creatures. So if it's definitely worth it, then yeah, do it. But if it's not,
if it's stealing a Ragnaros or a Ysera, I say go for it.
Yeah.
or if it's stealing their Sylvanas Windrunner, then do it.
Yeah, very true.
And then the last card is Ysera because it's just a beast. And it's really hard to kill with...
It's not literally a beast card, it's a dragon.
Yeah, it's
but
a dragon.
It is a really good card.
Yeah, he is very hard to deal with.
He has 5 dream cards that he can get, and 4 dream cards.
Yep.
The 3/5 for 3 mana that cannot be targeted by hero abilities or spells. There is the 4 mana 7/6 dragon. There is the 0 mana deal 5 damage to all characters except Ysera.
That's 2 mana, Ysera's Awakening.
That's 2 mana, I'm sorry. And then there's the 0 mana dream card that just returns a minion to its owner's hand.
There is 5 cards because there's Nightmare as well.
Oh yeah,
0 mana, give +5/+5, and then destroy it at the beginning of your next turn?
Yeah, I think it's the worst one, but...
I think it's at the end of your turn.
Well, it doesn't end on that turn. You still get it for another turn, and then when it goes over to your next turn is when it dies. So
yeah, at the start of your next turn. So if you put it on a Taunter...
Right, the Taunter's still there.
Oh wow,
right.
That's really good then. I didn't know that was a thing.
At the start of the turn.
Yeah.
I don't own Ysera, so I have never seen the dream cards, really.
Yeah.
I just watch my opponent usually cast it against me, and then I usually hit the concede button after.
So the next deck we're going to be talking about, which the last one was Circle of Rattles, is what we called it. This next.
Wait, we didn't even put this deck together, but it's very easy.
We're going to build it as we go along.
Yeah, we're going to just build this deck as we go. But it is going to be a Warlock deck.
And it's kind of on the budget side, but it's definitely the most consistent
There's actually no
budget
legends in this deck.
Yeah, there's 0 legendary cards, so say you're a new player, or you just don't have that much dust to put towards making a deck. I mean, this is definitely the deck for you. It's been consistent. You see a lot of pro players playing this deck. I've seen Reynad playing this deck a lot. I don't know, off the top of my head, can you think of any other players that you just see play? I've seen Trump play this deck.
Yeah, Trump has taken... Zoo to Legend a bunch of times. I've seen he's actually put together a budget list too, which Zoo is already a budget list as it is, but he put together an even more budget list. This list will feature the Naxxramas cards, which I know a lot of people do not still have every single Naxxramas card, but this list definitely shines more with all of the Naxxramas cards unlocked.
Now, guys, I know some of you out there are free-to-play players, and you just refuse to spend a single cent on Hearthstone. I mean, maybe you just have some prejudice towards Blizzard, thinking they already make enough money. But you know what? If you want the best cards in the game, too, you definitely should. You definitely should put your money into buying the Naxxramas wings, because, you know, once you beat through all of them, you have all the cards that you'll really need out of the Naxxramas set. You don't have to put any more money down. You have to pay anything. Once you get all the wings, you just have to beat through the wings on normal mode and all the class challenges, and you have them. You can be heroic if you want the card back, but it's not necessary. You don't need the card back unless you feel like, you know, you're inclined to just definitely have it. So moving on. This deck we're gonna call Brew Zoo. It's It's a Warlock deck. It's a aggro deck, I'd say. Would you say aggro?
Yeah, it's definitely an aggro
I
deck.
actually brewed this deck before it got big.
Yeah? So
Yeah,
Paul right here is a pioneer of the Brew Zoo, apparently.
We did make a couple of tweaks, though, to the deck.
Did we?
I think so.
I didn't. You had me add the
Chow for a little while.
No, the 2/3. You made me add 1 and cut a Harvest Golem, and then I switched it back.
Yeah, the Zombie Chow for a Harvest Golem.
No, the other one, the 2-mana one that makes taunt. What's his name? The worst defender of Argus.
Oh,
Sunfury
Sunfury Protector.
Yeah.
It just happened to be good in like the mirror
I have a
because
gold
having
one.
an extra thing to taunt up like your egg. But then I realized after a while that you just had so many ways to activate an egg, and it wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
Alright, so going down this list here.
So there's 2 Soulfire because it's not close how good it is. It deals with
A lot of things.
Armorsmith. It deals with 4/4 Taunters. It deals with what other scary things? It deals with whatever you want it to, basically.
A lot of the time, it's just taking out a 4/4, or it's a 4 toughness creature, or it's just 4 damage to the dome piece.
Yeah, for the win. And then 1 Power Overwhelming, which is usually, it's kind of like your Leroy Jenkins of the deck. And it enables an egg too, which can be really good. Because you can just Power Overwhelming on egg, kill a 4 toughness dude, and then get a 4/4 at the end of the turn, and it's
Yeah, I mean,
really
you
valuable.
don't even need to kill 4 toughness, dude. You guys just gonna die at the end of turn, so you're gonna
Well, I
get
mean,
a
if
4/4.
there's a Taunter,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you have to get through it, and you don't want to lose like 2 creatures or crack a Harvest Golem or something. But Abusive Sergeant,
Is a 2 of.
yeah, it's a 2 of, and it works with the egg mostly. That's what it's there for, and it can sometimes kill your opponent for the extra 2 damage. Flame Imp is just very
It goes in every
efficient.
zoo list.
Yeah, it's very efficient. Sometimes it can be very bad against Hunter, but
It's usually good because having a 3/2 on board, I know it deals you 3 damage, yes, which is definitely a downside because Hunter, obviously, their hero ability is deal 2 damage to you, and your hero ability is making you lose 2 life. So it's kind of counterproductive between just the hero abilities alone. But the 3/2 does check traps. It kills off web spinners early on in the game. It just basically lets you push through for like 3 to 6 points of damage in the beginning of the game, or trade up for like a 2-drop.
and
sometimes.
even if it's like a freezing trap, you just save it to discard it, like we did.
Yeah, true.
You just discard it.
You just
like,
wait
whatever.
for your Doom Guard to have some fodder, and you're like, I don't want to cast this Flame Imp a second time because taking another 3 damage is definitely a bad idea.
For 3 mana, it's
Yeah.
a pretty big cost. And Leopard Gnome is basically in there just to feed the Undertaker, who's the next card in the list. And I don't know, he can kill people sometimes.
There are 2 Leper Gnome and 2 Undertakers.
Oh, and it lets you go turn 1, 2, 3 on Undertaker with coin. Which is
It
pretty
does,
cool.
yes.
Which is pretty cool. And Voidwalker is basically, I mean, he's always there. He's just a taunter.
He
a
just
1 mana,
helps.
1/3.
He helps protect your other creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Direwolf Alpha, which makes a lot of things scarier, even though it's only +1. But
It makes a lot of things trade up too, which is a very nice thing.
so I want Dave to explain the adjacent type of thing. It's not really a mechanic or a keyword, but there's a lot of cards in this game that require adjacent.
When you cast your
Positioning.
Direwolf, a lot of the times you want to be casting stuff on the left side, because if you have like token spawners, you're most likely going to see them on the right side. I mean, not in this deck, but in like the Hunter deck, I know definitely it ends up happening a lot.
I mean, you're not going to see it in a Shaman deck, but Shaman, the totems,
Oh, the totems also pop up on the right
which
side.
actually matters for Flame Tongue Totem.
It does a lot, which is a lot like Direwolf Alpha. But Flame Tongue Totem is miles better.
Yeah. Okay, so that's a 2-of. There's a lot of 2-ofs in this deck. There's only 2 1-of.
That's why it's very consistent, though.
Yeah, 2 1-ofs. And okay, where are we? All right, Haunted Creeper, self-explanatory. Feeds the Undertaker, and it's just efficient. This deck's all about efficiency. There's no creatures that just suck.
It helps death rattle the Undertaker. It helps with the Direwolf Alpha. It also helps with the Abusive Sergeant, so you can trade upwards on them.
Yeah. Knife Juggler is awesome.
Also works really well with Haunted Creeper.
And Egg. And it's really good against the Mirror. It's actually the best card in the Mirror.
A lot of the times, too, I'll actually play Haunted Creeper before I play Knife Juggler, just because I want to get the 2 activations off the Haunted Creeper.
A new combo you can do with the Hunter nerf is Knife Juggler and Unleash the Hounds. And Hunter's Mark, I used to play it a lot.
I played in a budget version, very similar to what you just said, basically, on my EU account right now, because I don't have all of the cards on that either.
Yeah, I think Hunter might resort to the Knife Juggler because it's actually really good against Zoo. Pretty good against Zoo.
Very true.
Because you'll get like 5 triggers off the Knife Juggler, probably, at least. And then you have Nerubian Egg, which a lot of the cards that we already explained kind of trigger the Egg, which Direwolf Alpha really helps the Egg.
You can assume that all these cards are just 2 ofs, since we only said there's only a 1 of.
Yeah, there's only 2
cards, which is Power Overwhelming and Void Terror, which we'll go over.
We're almost getting to the next one.
Yeah. And then Harvest Golem, it's 2 bodies for 3 mana, and 4 damage. So, yeah, and your opponent is probably not going to waste their time silencing it. They're going to waste their time silencing like an Egg, so they just make it dead.
Or they'll just silence an Undertaker, because those things get scary fast.
This deck's like, I don't know, I think Shaman has a really good matchup against this deck.
They can, yes.
Well, like Earthshock plus Spell Damage Totem is very good against like all these creatures.
I mean, the Spell Power Totem is just really strong against this deck.
Yeah, and Feral Spirit is
just dirty too.
The most insane card. Okay, so Void Terror is the next card, and this card, it's kind of another extra way to
activate eggs
and make a big scary dude on turn 3 who has to be dealt with. And
it's also combos very well with the Power Overwhelming that's in the deck as well.
Yeah, because if your opponent's not dead, now you get a monster, a big scary monster afterwards. You probably have the mana because all your spells are like look at the mana curve.
Well, if you think about it, like turn 2, you go Nerubian Egg, so you have a 0/2 out, and then turn 3 you just play Void Terror. So on turn 3 you have a 3/5 and a 4/4 ready for your next turn to beat in for 7.
Yeah, I've actually won a game because I went turn 1 Nerubian Egg, turn 2 Nerubian Egg, turn 3 Void Terror, and there's
in between you're just like 2 4
2 4/4s,
2 4/4s
and a 3/7.
Yeah, a 3/7, and that's a lot of damage.
And the only way to deal with that is like Pyro Equality out of Paladin decks.
Twisting Nether, I guess, but that's not a card.
Yeah, you don't see any play of that card in Constructed.
And then there's 2 Dark Iron Dwarfs, it's basically another Abusive Sergeant with a bigger body. And 4/4s are pretty good in this game. So
it also lets a lot of your creatures trade up, which is a really important thing too.
Yeah, that is very true. And Defender of Argus, another reason why it's on the top list of most played.
Probably the reason why it's actually on the top list.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And then Doomguard, just because it is
the game
best
sealer
Warlock card.
Yeah, it's kind of a game sealer, I'd say.
You need a finisher, and he does it very well.
And you usually don't discard cards because you have no hand.
I usually discard 1 card, but I'm happy when I discard just 1 card.
Yeah, but there is instances where you discard nothing, and
But if I do have a 4 mana spell in my hand, I usually won't cast the Doomguard because I don't want to discard my 4 mana spell, because I'll probably be able to get value off of my 4 mana, my Dark Iron Dwarf or my Defender of Argus, before I can just commit to all in on a Doomguard, basically.
Yeah. And that's the deck.
Cool.
The mana curve is real low and real aggressive.
Yeah, real aggressive.
You do want to make trades when you can, but you want to be able to push through for as much damage as possible as well.
Yeah. I'm just going to go over the mana curve because it's very easy. There's 2 0-drops, and then there's 11 1-drops. There's a lot of 1-drops.
That's mostly the entire deck.
Yeah, that singleton Power Overwhelming makes it odd.
That's 33% of the deck, right? Or more than 33%, actually.
Yeah, and then 8 creatures that are 2 mana. There's literally 3 spells in this deck. Yeah, 3 spells.
Yeah, your 2 Soul Fires and your Power Overwhelming.
And then the 3 drops are Harvest Golem and Void Terror.
Yeah, your 2 Harvest, your Void Terror. Your 4/4s are your Dark Iron Dwarfs and your Defender, and your 2/5s are the Doom Guards.
Yeah, and that's you will not be stuck with Alex Straws's in your hand.
Yeah, so like life tapping, you can usually depend if you have four mana. Say you're going to life tap, you're probably your chances are pretty high of drawing a 1-drop or a 2-drop. Yeah, it's just it's very easy to cycle through your deck and just draw cards.
Empty your hand and then start life tapping for on curve spells.
Yeah, you usually can cast 2 creatures in a turn with this deck.
Yeah.
So
easily.
and Soulfire or something.
Very true. So our next segment, we're gonna get a little personal here, a little intimate. What is your favorite weekly streamers? Let's just say our top 2. What's our favorite top 2 weekly streamers that you've watched? I don't mind starting this one unless anybody else is.
No, go right ahead.
I'd say my favorite top 2. Applejack would have to be my number 1.
He is a comedian, and I love it.
Yeah. Paul kind of turned me on to this guy just watching his stream, and he's just a funny guy. If you want entertainment and good card play, yeah, you'll watch Applejack.
He's also got a really positive attitude, which is definitely something you don't see in a ton of Hearthstone players.
Yeah,
he just like emits positive energy.
Yeah, he's a very funny guy to watch, and he's great. He's a great player. He's definitely gotten better over the times of streaming, and he's starting to see a little bit more competitive play, which is.
Yeah, we just saw him in a Deck Wars.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite I ever saw him. I just watched the replay video.
Bandit Keith.
Yeah.
A Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
Yeah, I think he was down 0-3 to Trump. And he just he puts on some sunglasses, ties an American bandana around his head, and
he's like, "Let's do this."
He's just, "Let's do this." And when he ended up dying, you just see him overdosing on salt and falling out of his chair.
He grabs a giant container of salt and starts pretending to pour it into his mouth.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you just see one hand pop up, and it looks like he's dying on the other side of the webcam.
It's real funny for anybody that hasn't seen it. I'd suggest it was Deck Wars. I think it was part 4 or 5 that it happened.
Part 4.
Part 4.
I have no idea. I didn't watch it.
You should watch that when you get a chance. Then,
but I think you would enjoy it. It was Trump versus.
The streams are awesome.
Yeah, Trump versus Applejack. I'd say my second favorite streamer. I haven't caught much of him lately, but just because of my own schedule. But I watched Brian Kibler do a little bit of streaming, and he's a good player. He's a Magic player too. I'd say former, but he still plays Magic.
Pro Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's a Hall of Famer Magic player, and he's definitely moved on to Hearthstone and
he's been
starting to make an impact.
A lot more popular too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's a very good card player to watch.
He's the one that actually made the Priest deck.
Yeah.
Popular.
Yeah.
Now he has 2 versions of the Priest list too.
I know. Luke was telling me that everyone banned his list immediately.
Yeah, because they were just too afraid to play against it.
They have no idea how to play against it.
Yeah. And Dave, what's your favorite 2 streamers?
I have been enjoying Hyped quite a bit lately. I like watching him play Hunter and Miracle Rogue quite a bit because those are 2 pretty complicated decks. Hunter is less complicated, obviously, but it does have some complexity involved in actually playing out your spells correctly. But he is like a god of the card game because he will predict what his next 3 draw steps are basically, and predict what his opponent's cards are in his hand and he'll be able to play around every single one of them as well. So he is definitely a really, really strong Hearthstone player that I enjoy watching. He hasn't been streaming nearly as much, but he kind of just started recently, I think a month or 2 ago. But he's getting more popular. He's seeing more playtime in a lot of bigger tournaments nowadays. He's been actually doing well in those tournaments I see him progressing even further as the game continues.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen Hyped at all?
I haven't really watched a lot of
not really
streamers, but I mean, I discovered Applejack, which is he's really I mean, he's been like a 5-time legend, which is impressive and everything. But I think I think Dave said, he's very entertaining. The guy, like, if you, like, there's a lot of boring streamers out there.
Yeah, I like the wrecking ball too. Like he knew he had the win. He just slow roll his opponent for the win.
He bad manners people.
And then like, yeah, he'll just at the end he'll just play wrecking ball, and he has it so timed out that he just like when he goes to kill his opponent, wrecking ball just comes in and he starts. It's hilarious.
I miss when he used to move his webcam around when he actually had like a green screen in the background.
Yeah.
And he would play mage and go to pyroblast somebody, and he'd actually move his hands down and his body down below the character.
He'd do the Dragon Ball.
Kamehameha!
He would do that. He did it. He does it a lot with a lot of classes. He does. I saw him lightning bolt somebody. Did that.
Zap.
Yeah, and then like he like moves his face over the hero's face as he's the hero, and does it. It's so awesome. I don't think he does it anymore.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah, he does it.
He said he'd return, but not quite, not yet.
Yeah.
He wants to try it, I think, to look a little more professional, which is sad because I enjoyed his comedic side to the game.
Very funny.
So Dave, what do you say your second favorite streamer?
My second top streamer I've been watching is Hearthstone Dog, which is just dog on Hearthstone. He plays a lot of Druid, and I do love me some Druid. It's still probably my favorite deck, but it's definitely not the strongest deck right now. But almost every version of my Druid deck I usually take from him and end up changing like 1 or 2 cards, and that's really all I have to like ever do. And even then, changing those 1 or 2 cards is usually a mistake because I end up agreeing with what his decisions were, and I'm like, wow, why didn't I just keep these cards in and try out new ones? He's been doing a lot more schoolwork lately, so he hasn't really had the time to stream on a regular basis, but he did do like a week-long basically stream where he would stream like 5 days out of the week, and he was prepping for tournaments coming up and doing like 8 to 12 hours a day of just pure streaming, and those were really, really enjoyable.
Wow.
The reason why I like him too is he is very fast-paced when he plays his games, but he also commentates on his games very fast-paced as well, which I really enjoy because like when people just sit there and take their time, explain every little detail, it starts to get old after a while, whereas you just watch this guy just jam in as many games and as many turns as he can basically, and just does everything he can correctly. And that's what's impressive to me about this guy.
Yeah. So Paul, what would you say your favorite 2 streamers are right now?
Applejack is obviously way up there. I don't really watch a lot of streams, which I should, but I actually, it was last season, I watched a lot of Reynad, who was really high on the legendary rank.
I actually haven't seen him lately.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been playing. I don't know. I've just been watching him. He's been playing Hunter, and I don't know. I'm a little sick of Hunter. It's kind of boring. I don't even play the class that much.
He also put together the zoo list previous to the Naxxramas release. He's the one that kind of like designed that list, which is definitely a cool thing to note for Reynad. But he's gotten better, I think, as a gamer too.
Yeah.
Do you have a second, or is your first or second one Applejack?
They're like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of like I could go on all day about boring streamers. And
Yeah.
how I just go to bed.
I mean, that happens for most streams and me for the most part. It's not that they're boring, it's just I just don't have the energy to stay awake. I'll watch a lot of the stream, and then they'll be in the middle of a game and I'll just end up falling asleep. But anyways, our next segment, which is our last segment, is in-game stories, and each of us will probably just contribute one here. We're running a little bit short on time, but I have one in-game story which I've already told Dave about. I haven't told Paul about. I have a funny story of how I played Warrior, and when I played Warrior, I played Ysera against a Hunter deck, and so The turn after I played Ysera, he silences Ysera, and then he plays a Hunter's Mark. So my Ysera went from a 14-12 with an awesome Dream card ability to a 4-1 do nothing. And some miraculous way he lived next turn. I had a Sludge Belcher out, so he was pretty guarded off, and I had I'm trying to remember the other creature, but basically what happened was the turn that I got back to after my guy was a 4-1 is that I played a Kel'Thuzad, and when I played the Kel'Thuzad, I basically just threw my Ysera on anything that could kill it, and whatever was most efficient to deal for. So my Ysera came back as a 4-12, not silenced, so I got Dream cards.
You got a brand new, fresh Ysera.
I got a brand new Ysera, and I won the game in Magical Christmas Land. But it was awesome, and for that brief moments of Magical Christmas Land that I had. And yeah, that's basically my story. Any of you guys have any cool Hearthstone
I have
stories?
a sweet story. I lost the game, but it was so awesome that I added him, and I congratulated him. It was so sweet. I was hunter? No, I was either priest or warrior, but he was priest, and I was definitely priest because I had a soul priest out, or no, not a soul priest,
Northshire Clark?
yeah, that guy. And so I had one out where he has no cards, or no, I have no cards left. He plays a Wild Pyromancer with 2 cards in hand. I'm at like 20 life or something like that, so I'm pretty reasonably life. And then he plays Circle of Healing, which triggers his Pyromancer, deals damage to like 5 of my dudes that I had out, heals them all back up. I drew 5 cards, I went into fatigue, and then he put his other last card in hand was another Circle of Healing, and it put me at like -20, and it was awesome. I was like, I've never been so happy in my life.
You killed me so good, I have to add you.
I was like, wow, that was the best thing I've ever seen. It was so awesome.
Not worthy.
Yeah, it was just great.
That's crazy.
I think he's on right now. I don't know. No, he's not. But, no.
Dave, do you have any stories you want to share?
I don't really have a crazy story, but I was playing Priest, and I've done this a couple times now, where Undertaker is a broken card if they do not deal with it. Oh,
Yeah.
In one game, I made a 7-8 and an 8-9 Undertaker, and they killed my opponent. And a game I had last night, I made a 5-11 Undertaker, and he conceded the game after that. He did not even want to play after. That was just way too big for him to deal with.
Very cool.
That's
Very
basically the story that I have, though.
All right, so for any of you listeners that are interested in contacting us, give us some feedback. Maybe you want to sponsor your tournament, have a shout out, anything you want to put on here. We will read your fan mail as long as it is appropriate for all ages. And it is, our email address is theweeklygrindpodcast@gmail.com. Once again, it is theweeklygrindpodcast@gmail.com.
It's the, not the.
It's the, not the.
Yeah, well, I mean, people might
It is
put
the
the
Weekly Grind Podcast @gmail.com. And we also just started up a SoundCloud, which this will be our first feature on the SoundCloud. And it's www.soundcloud.com/the weekly grind podcast. So please check in. We're going to try to get one of these posted every week, at least every other week. But yeah, give us some feedback. Let us know how you like the show.
If you think we should add anything to the show,
yeah, we want your opinions. We're obviously been playing Hearthstone for a while, but this is our first podcast, and we'd like to get some more out there for you, keep you interested and entertained. All right. Well, this was this week's Weekly Grind podcast, and I am Josh.
I'm Dave.
And I'm Paul.
And have a great week.